Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I've got an exciting video for you today. This is a video that I actually mentioned, I think a little while ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, and so many of you mentioned in the comments, like, why is it taking so long? Like, why? I want to see the video now. So we are doing a top 5 Chanel 2019 releases so far. So when I say we, I mean Allison Chase and Angela Van Rose. So this is a 3-way collab, which I'm so excited for. Allison Chase is someone that I've been following for quite some time. She is like a Chanel addict. She is just a pro at Chanel, and I believe she used to work at a Chanel counter, so she's very, very well informed when it comes to Chanel. And she is from Montreal, so she speaks French, and I'm giggling because you guys know I'm ridiculously awful at French. So when I can, what I'll do is watch one of her videos on a product that I'm about to talk about and see how it's properly pronounced, because it just rolls off the tongue for her, and I'm like so that's Allison. Definitely check her out. I will leave both of their channels linked down below in my description box. But Angela Van Rose is someone that I more recently started to follow. Many of you actually started to suggest her channel to me right around the same time that I discovered it as well. And I think it was a Chanel video that introduced me to her. So Angela is based in Milan, which is a city I'm dying to visit. I've never been to Italy. And she just has the most beautiful accent. But when I listened to her, I wasn't quite sure if it was Italian, and I asked her when we were kind of setting up this collab, I asked her, I said, is your accent Italian, you know? And I apologized for my American ignorance, and she said, you know, actually it's more Dutch, but she's lived in so many different places across Europe. I mean, how amazing is that? But, you know, she's spent time in the UK and France, and, you know, now she's in Italy, and she's actually even spent time here in America. And her accent is just, it's hypnotic. It's so beautiful. It's so lovely. And both actually Angela and Allison have just very, very calm demeanors. And I love that. I love watching them. They just kind of put me at ease. And the looks that they create are, you know, they're very everyday. They're attainable. You know, it's nothing ever over the top. And I just enjoy the both of them so very, very much. So anyway, check out their channels. Again, link down below in my description box. So one last very quick thing before we get into my top 5 is my background has changed. So I just kind of swung everything around. But what's funny is even with the same exact equipment, lighting, I'm in the same exact room, there was so much tweaking that had to go on, so I apologize. I hope the sound is okay. I hope the lighting is okay. I had to move my monitor from over here to over here, and I'm gonna be looking over at my monitor quite a bit. I apologize. It's over here just until I get used to this setup, because you know, I'm just not used to sitting where I'm sitting, and I just want to make sure I'm still in focus, that I'm still in the center of the frame, that I haven't, you know, slouched down or anyway. So just wanted to explain that, but I'll be getting more stuff. Like I ordered some artwork to hang up on the walls because that looks a little plain at the moment. But you know, I liked sitting in front of my window, but I hated actually the window, like the blinds and everything. I really didn't like that in my background, but the window made it like an automatically backlit background, which is great. And if any of you are YouTubers out there, you know that if you don't backlight your background, it just looks like you're sitting in a cave. But anyway, I switched it around and we'll see how it goes. All right, so let's get into this top 5. So I have 6 things. No surprise. It's like if I say top 5, I have 6 things. If I say top 10, I have like 11 things. So anyway, top 5, I will have a list of 5 things, but I'm gonna have to mention one extra thing in there. So I have all 5 products on my face. I'll do split screens and show you me applying those things so you can see them in action. But the first thing I wanted to mention is the Le Beige Water Fresh Tint. I have it in medium light, and I just love this product. I mentioned this in my favorites, and it's a cool formula. So it's like a gel water formula with like pigment bubbles sort of suspended in this gel water. And so you're supposed to kind of break up those pigment bubbles and then, you know, apply it to your face. So Chanel suggests using a brush with it. And when I use a brush with it, I use a lot of this product. I end up using like 6 pumps, which is unheard of for me because I really like light coverage. 6 pumps of this product, but you guys are awesome. You guys actually suggested that I actually just use my hands, and that, you know, once you kind of just start rubbing it into the skin, the pigment bubbles will break, and, you know, you'll be able to spread it around evenly. So I started doing that, and you guys are awesome because now I only use like 2, maybe 3 pumps of the product, and it's great. So this is a very light coverage foundation. There really is a very minimal amount of coverage. But there's something really unique about this formula where I don't feel like I'm covered so much, but I do feel like my skin is perfected. And the gel water base also it just makes my skin feel really plush. You know, it feels hydrated and it just really looks perfected without like a mask of coverage. So I just am really enjoying this, and I think the timing of this couldn't be better, and it being part of the Le Beige line is just perfect because in the spring, summertime, I think in general people like kind of a lighter coverage, something with less of a kind of thick feeling on their skin. The gel water base is really cooling. It's just phenomenal. And because it's so lightweight, it's great in the summertime because I feel like I'm just like loading up on skincare because of SPF. So even though, well, that's only one extra layer, but I feel like, you know, here's that extra layer. And if I'm gonna go in with like a really thick foundation, I just feel like it's so heavy on my skin for such, you know, warm days. So I am loving this Water Fresh tint. All right, and next up, I think this is another thing that appeared in my last month's favorites, I believe. This is the Bronzer Highlighter Duo, and I have it in the color medium because the color light is way too light for me. But this is the medium color, and I love this contour bronzer shade for me. So I have it on my face today, and I think it works nicely as an actual contour, and then if I use it lightly, I can just brush it all over my face for like a bronze look. It's a really beautiful tone. It's very, very neutral for me, and it just works really, really well. And I really like this formula. It's like a baked formula, so you don't really pick up a ton of product like when you dip your brush in, unlike, you know, like a pressed powder, sometimes you dip your brush in and there's like all this kick up and you pick up like way too much product. That doesn't really happen with baked products as much, and so I feel like, especially with bronzer, you really don't want to go in with a heavy hand. So this is really nice. It goes on sheerly. It's incredibly blendable. It just sort of like melts into your skin, and you can build it up, and it's great, especially in the summertime. You probably progressively get a little bit deeper as the summer progresses, and a buildable bronzer I think is important for that. So anyway, I love this. This highlighter is a little bit too deep for my skin tone as just a straight up highlighter, but if I want a bronzer with a little bit of sheen, what I'll do is kind of go between these two pans, you know, maybe 2 dips to 1, you know, just to add a little bit of something to my bronzer, and it's great. It works great for that. And I think actually one of you suggested that in the comments, that you kind of go in between. So thanks again for wonderful advice. And I just want to mention the light, because this is actually probably going to end up in a disappointing products for me. But I tried using like this lighter shade, you know, just for powder or for a very light blush, or, you know, just, I don't know, I tried it in all these different ways, setting powder, finishing powder. It just doesn't work for me. The texture of it doesn't work for me in terms of setting or finishing powder. It's much, much too light for me in terms of a like blush or anything, but this highlighter does work for me. So I will pull out this highlighter every once in a while because it is very, very subtle. It's very, very natural looking. I wanted a little bit more of a blingy highlight today, so I used the Lion, the Or Rose highlighter. We're not talking about that though. So I will use this if I want like a subtle highlight, but this powder does not work for me. So if you're my skin tone, go for the medium, even though it looks pretty deep. Next up, I have a product that was actually the very first thing I thought of when we started talking about the idea of this video, and this is the Tweed Effect blush in the color Tweed Beige. So it's this guy right here. I have it on my cheeks, and I absolutely love the tone of it, the formula. It's so pretty. It is very similar to my favorite Chanel blush, which is Golden Sun, but this has a little bit more of a bright peachiness to it, which is perfect for spring, summer. And it had a little bit of a gold overspray there, so your first few uses of this blush, you're gonna get kind of a blingy blush. And I was afraid that once all of that overspray disappeared, that I was going to end up with a matte blush, because I like at least a satin kind of sheen to my blushes. I really don't like flat matte like face products. But I was pleasantly surprised that the blush itself, I don't know if you guys will be able to see this, the blush itself has a bit of a sheen, and there seems to be some like little bit of sparkle in there. I really don't know if it's leftover overspray, but I feel like I've used this quite a bit, at least in this area, to have gotten rid of all of it. And it still looks like there's a little little bit in there, like a little bit, not nearly as much as the overspray. So I love the finish, I love the formula, I love the tone and the color of this blush. It's beautiful, and I love these tweed blushes because it's so cool. I mean, they really did such a good job in making this look like tweed, like Chanel tweed. So this blush is number 3 on my list. All right, so this is where things get a little dicey. We're going to talk about eyeshadows. And I tried filming this video already once, long story, but I kind of like went through my thought process in terms of like how I picked one over the other. So I'm just going to tell you which one I went with. So the Le Beige 9 Pan eyeshadow palette. This palette is so beautiful. I love the color stories in here. You basically have like 3 trios. You have like a neutral one, you have a cool tone one, and then you have a warm, like really rich colored one. And I have a few of the shades from here on my eyes, which again, I'll show you in this split screen. So I love all the different tones you have in here. I love all the like just slightly nuanced color stories you have in here. And the formula, it's pigmented, it's soft, it blends, you know, all those things. I just absolutely love this. And if you just want like an everyday kind of palette, you really just can't go wrong with this. I mean, you can just stay right here like in a safe zone, but you can add like a little bit of a taupey silver color here, and then here's like a really warm kind of gold color. Like it really goes from like day to evening, from cool to warm. Like it's just lovely. It is a really, I think, really well thought out and well laid out palette that every time I open it, it's just like a joy to use. And the palette that almost made it in here is the Cruise 4-pan palette. And the only reason why I didn't pick this one over the 9-pan is because the 9-pan just has more options. You just have 9 colors versus 4. But I will say this, I think the formula in the quads, because they're more of like a baked formula versus like a pressed powder, I think these last longer on the lids. At least for me, they last a little bit longer on my lids. I don't mean to say that these like will fade within 2 hours, but after a full day wear, I will see that these, you know, have faded maybe a little bit. These are like on. These just don't go anywhere, but this is the one on my top 5 list. So that is the Le Beige 9-pan palette, and I have a sinking suspicion this is going to end up on Allison and Angela's list as well. So we will have to see. All right, so the last thing on my list is the Rouge Coco flashes. So Chanel discontinued their Rouge Coco Shine lipsticks, which I really enjoyed. And when I heard they were discontinuing those, I was a little bit ticked. I was like, oh, here we go again. A company discontinuing a line that I love and reformulating it and screwing it up and blah, blah, blah. So I had this whole like mental conversation with myself. But when these came out, of course, I had to, you know, pick up a couple to try. I was so impressed. They definitely improved upon what I thought was a formula that couldn't be improved upon. I really, really like the shines. I don't know if they're more pigmented because they're still very, very sheer, but the pigment is very even. So whenever I use the shine lipsticks, I would apply it and it would look a little bit streaky, which to me was understandable. You know, it has such a moisturizing base. It is very, very sheer. So it would look a little bit streaky, and then as soon as I kind of, you know, mashed my lips together, it was fine. But with these flashes, there's no streakiness. Like you apply it and it's totally even. Like the pigment is already melted into the base of this. And they're really comfortable. I feel like the shines felt really great on the lips. They were very, very moisturizing. There's a little bit more to these. Like I find these to be even more moisturizing, even more comfortable on the lips. So Chanel did such a good job kind of revamping the whole shine line and creating the flashes. So I love these, and I have the color number 53 Chicness on my lips right now, and I just love it. They're so easy to wear. These are like those kind of perfect lipsticks to me that you don't need a mirror to apply, you don't need a lip liner because they're not that pigmented, and you can just throw them on and then like instantly you look like so much more polished. Like you look like you're ready to take on the world. And I love that. And you guys know that I am such a fan of sheer lipsticks for that reason, because they're just easy to put on. And then, you know, reapplication's not a big deal. So anyway, the Rouge Coco Flash, number 5 on my list. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what some of your favorite Chanel releases of 2019 so far have been. I would love to hear from you. Do not forget to check out Allison and Angela's videos. Head on over there, let them know that I sent you, show them some love. They are amazing, amazing women. I've had such a good time like texting with them back and forth. They're just incredibly sweet, and I think Angela has convinced me to visit Italy next year, so we'll see if that happens. In any case, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.